Hey everyone, it's Jack here, TalkNorwichCity. Welcome back to another video. I hope you're recovering from Thursday's absolute disaster at Ellen Road. Look, the dust has settled a little bit. It still feels quite raw, so apologies if this isn't the most upbeat video you'll watch from me all season, but at least now we can look forwards as opposed to back, and we'll be getting into that during this video. Lots of you have been showing me your Borja signed t-shirts. Are perfect, I must say, for summer barbecues. They are still available to buy. I will keep them on sale for a little while longer. So if you do want one, they are absolutely lovely. Links in the description. Helps towards the running of this channel. Look, I was at Ellen Road on Thursday, and so were a lot of you. And I wish I wasn't, to be honest. It was a truly horrifying evening. Made even worse by the sublime atmosphere that Leeds created. And look, we spoke a lot, didn't we, going into that game, and we said if we are to have a chance in beating Leeds at Ellen Road, if we keep it tight for 20-25 minutes, let the crowd die down a little bit, let things settle, then we can start to pick our moments. And actually what happened was we conceded 2 in 20 minutes and it was game over. It actually felt like game over at 1-0. The way in which Norwich were playing, it was a really, well, both of the opening goals were really poor to concede. Angus Gunn will be absolutely fuming with himself for the first and probably the second, but you know, I'm not going to come on here and start blaming individuals. Gunny's been one of the best goalkeepers in the division this season. He's had 2 shockers there, and we're 2-0 down, and you're suddenly fighting an uphill battle. What I would say about Gunny is, if it wasn't for him, it could have quite easily been 8 or 9, and that's not even an overreaction. It was that appalling from Norwich. It was one-way traffic for the entire evening. I think we had 2 shots on target over 2 legs of football, 180 minutes of football, 2 shots on target, 0 goals scored. That is absolutely appalling, and simply not good enough. Leeds kept piling the pressure on. As I say, it could have been more. It's the earliest I've ever left a football match. I've left 2 games early in my match-going career of well over a decade. Sunderland in the Premier League, I think that was 2016-ish. I left in like the 87th minute, so not even that early. And Leeds, I think I was gone before the 70th minute. I just couldn't stand it any longer. It was a really sad finish to a really strange campaign. And I went into that game on Thursday thinking, I've not got huge expectations, but if we can maybe carry some of the form we've seen at home into the away game, as I say, keep it tight. We've got some quality going forwards in Science, who didn't start, Sarah, Sargent, Johnny Rowe. Maybe we can pick our moment. Actually, what we saw, I think, was a front line that weren't fully fit. I don't think Josh Sargent's been fully fit since his return, so it's, you know, amazing that he's even put up the numbers he has. Rowe was really, really off the boil and clearly isn't fit. He's not been the same since that injury. Gabby Sarah was completely out of it. Borja Science didn't start, which baffled me. Ashley Barnes, again, not fit. I think he was getting injections during the week to kind of numb the pain a little bit. So that was an issue. We were overrunning the midfield. Our defence had absolutely no chance. And as I say, Gunny didn't have his best game. So from front to back, there wasn't a single good showing in there, and that's really sad to say. Unfortunately, you know, we could have seen it coming. I think, you know, we were all trying to be upbeat, and that's exactly how you should be as a football fan going into these types of games. To a degree, it is a lottery, but if you're a realist here and you've seen Norwich play away from home this season, you will realise how passive, how negative we are. And that's really sad to say. With the contrast in performances from home and away have made no sense to me. I think we have been bailed out at times by real individual quality. There just wasn't a system away from home. I've been to 5 away games this season, so a lot less than many of you, but didn't see us win. I think I saw us score once or twice in that period. And in each performance was no closer to understanding the kind of model that Wagner was trying to play. So 4-0, humiliated, we're out. Playoffs achieved, but playoff progression certainly not achieved. But we did get into the top 6, so credit to an extent to David Wagner, although I would argue that 6th place was the absolute bare minimum considering this squad. So we move on to the Friday, and Wagner's gone. And look, I've said a couple of times on videos, I don't think people agreed, or some people certainly didn't agree. My understanding was, from my point of view, Wagner would be gone regardless if we went up or if we remained in the Championship. I had the belief that Ben Napper is a man that wants his own philosophy around the club, and that includes his own staff, his own head coach, his own players, etc., etc. As you do if you're a leader, you want to stamp your imprint on. And look, I'm not saying rip it up for the sake of ripping it up, but this model clearly wasn't working. It was an expensive squad. The playing style wasn't great. We didn't achieve really what we wanted to achieve. Some would disagree, and some would say, well, we got in the playoffs, that was the aim. I think the manner in which we did it wasn't very sustainable. And the recruitment, very, experienced players. That's a polite way of saying old players on quite punchy contracts. That's not a great model if you're trying to get out of the Championship. And if you're trying to get out of the Championship and failing, that's an even more unsustainable model, because then you've got really weighty wages on the books that you then can't shift. So for me, it was evident that Napper wanted a change. We've acted quickly. Some of the comments post Birmingham suddenly make a lot more sense now about, well, I don't really care that we've lost, we're in the playoffs, etc. I think Wagner knew that he was a dead man walking towards the end, and maybe that did throw him off somewhat in terms of motivation. I don't think there's necessarily anyone to blame. There was going to have to be a decision made at some point, and if Napper was to act quickly at the end of this season, then he's probably had to alert David that his future at this football club is untenable before the last few games. I don't know if that's true or not, but I suspect there was a mood around the place that indicated that, and that would make a lot of sense considering that some of the things we've heard. So Wagner is gone. Our new man is yet to be hired. There are two men in the kind of running, clear running, I'd say. That's Carlos Cuesta and Mikel Arteta's number 2, and Will Still, who has been much publicised about his route into football management, and is certainly an interesting up-and-coming young coach. Two young coaches who have done impressive things so far, but you would still say to a degree are unproven, particularly in this country. Cuesta, hasn't been an out-and-out head coach, and Will Still has done most of his good work abroad. So they are the kind of outliers in the betting, and Carlos Cuesta has been talked about for 6 months in terms of being Ben Napper's number 1 man. Now, whether he wants to leave that Arsenal project, we will see. And look, I suspect there are a lot of other people in the running, but they are the two who seem to be getting the headline space at the moment. And it was really strange, because I don't think I've ever felt quite as down about an evening as I did on Thursday. It was horrible. It was a really deflating, sad end to what has been a pretty topsy-turvy season. And I just looked at those players, and I had no hope whatsoever. And look, it was probably the sheer emotion of the evening, and Ellen Road was bouncing, and everything that could have gone wrong did go wrong. But I didn't quite know the route in which we travelled from that point, if Wagner was the man. And look, who's to say that this next project will work? And there is a lot to be done. There will be a lot of player trading over the summer. There is a lot of work to do to get our finances in order. I suspect the starting 11 from Thursday will be very different come the first game of next season. But at least now we can look forwards and go, okay, who's going to be our next head coach? Who's going to be the next up-and-coming young player? Who are we going to pick up big money for in the summer? And we can start to get excited again. I'm not saying the trauma of Thursday and even further back, the 6-2s against Plymouth and the demoralising defeats at Carrow Road in kind of October, November will heal anytime soon. But let's now look forwards and let's get excited, because we've been pretty appalling for the majority of that season. I think that it was the 19th worst away record in the division, and yet still got into the playoffs in a pretty strong Championship with Leicester and Southampton and Leeds and Ipswich, who did phenomenally well. I can't imagine it will be as strong next season. I might be wrong, but I don't think the 3 coming down are as good as those that came down last season. So this league continues to present opportunity, if you go about business the right way and you're shrewd about your business. You don't have to splash cash. You don't have to go big. You've just got to be clever. We see it with our good friends down the road. They were clever about their trading. They had a good head coach. They had a style. They executed it week in, week out. Look where that's got them, Premier League. Now, whether you want to be in the Premier League is another story, but that is what we're all on the aim to do, and often the journey is far better than the destination. But that's an argument to have when we actually achieve promotion back to the Premier League. So, yeah, I'm sad. No, I'm not sad to see Wagner go. I wanted him gone since November. I'm sad to see a good man lose his job, and he certainly was a good man. And I don't think anyone can argue that he held his head high and actually faced the criticism that he had throughout a lot of this season really, really well and very classily. He was very good with us when we sat him down and had a good chat on the podcast. So never nice to see a man lose his job, but I think he was lucky to have a job for as long as he did at Norwich City, and it'll be fascinating to see where he goes next. Keep your eye on the channel. So much more content to come over the coming weeks and months as we go into what's probably going to be an extremely busy summer for the Canaries, and hopefully we can look forward to a more positive campaign next time round. Thanks for watching, everyone. Bye-bye.